Okay, so now that we know how to solve systems, we're going to look at applications of them. So with this, we're going to look at some word problems where we have to write and solve a system of equations. Okay, so first, like I said, we're going to write and solve the system and then answer the question. So number one says your school sells tickets for its winter concert. Student tickets are $5 and adult tickets are $10. If your school sells 85 tickets and makes $600, how many of each ticket did they sell? So the first thing we have to look at is we have two types of tickets. We have student tickets and adult tickets. So those are going to be our two variables. So let's identify those. Let's say that X is students and Y is adult. And so we have to be able to write two equations since we have two variables in order to solve this. So the first thing is we know that they sold 85 tickets. And that 85 has to be a combination of student and adult. So our first equation is just going to say X plus Y equals 85, right? We don't know how many student or how many adult tickets they sold, but we know they sold 85 total. Okay. Second, we're going to look at the money. If we make $600, we have to figure out how many of each we know, but we also know the price of student tickets are $5 and adult tickets are $10. So if it's $5 times the number of student tickets they sold plus $10 times the number of adult tickets they sold has to equal $600. So there is our system of equations. Again, student plus adult tickets has to equal $85. So that's this first equation. And then each student ticket is $5. Each adult ticket is $10. In total, that has to be $600 worth of sales. Okay, so now we just solve this. You could do either method here. I'm just going to take this first equation and multiply by -5 so that I can use elimination with my x's. So I get -5x minus 5y equals -425. And I'm going to just add those two together. So my x's make 0. Then I get positive 5y equals 175. Divide by 5 to solve for y. So y equals 35. And take that and plug it back in to find my x value. So x plus y has to equal 85. So x plus 35 has to equal 85, which means x is 50. So the solution to our problem is 50, 35. But in this application, we're going to actually answer the question, which is how many of each tickets did they sell? So that would be 50 student tickets, because student represents, or X represents student, and 35 adult tickets. And again, if you wanted to double check your work, you could plug those in to make sure they fit for both equations that we wrote. Okay, let's look at one more. It says, suppose you bought 8 packages of Skittles and 1 Snickers bar for a total of $4.60. Later that day, you bought 6 packages of Skittles and 3 Snickers bars for a total of $4.80. What is the price of each type of candy? So our two variables that we're looking at here are Skittles and Snicker bars. So again, let's define those. I'm going to say X equals Skittles and Y equals Snickers. And that's just going to help us put context to our equations that we write. So in the first scenario, we bought 8 packages of Skittles, 1 Snickers bar, and it was $4.60. So let's just write that out. 8 times whatever the price of Skittles is, plus 1 times whatever a Snickers bar is, had to equal $4.60. In the second situation, we bought 6 packages of Skittles and 3 Snickers bars for a total of $4.80. So again, 6 Skittles plus 3 Snickers has to equal $4.80. Okay, so I have a solution. I have 2 equations and 2 variables, so I can solve that. I'm going to take my top equation and multiply that by -3 to be able to use my y's for elimination. So that gives me -24x minus 3y equals -13.8. So since we're doing money, I'm going to put 0.80. And I'm going to add those together. So I get -18x. My y's cancel out. And I'm left with -9. So divide by -18. And I get x is 50.5, which means 50 cents in terms of money. So let's take that and let's plug it in to solve for x, or sorry, to solve for y. We already have x. So I'm going to take 8 times my 0.5 plus y equals 460. That gives me $4. So y equals 60.6. So that tells us that our answer, again, our ordered pair like we solved before would be 0.5 comma 0.6, but in the context of this problem, it tells us that Skittles cost 50 cents and Snickers cost 60 cents. And that is our solution.